Hello everyone. So we are here today for our weekly Sunday Sutta readings, going on with the Mulapariyaya Sutta, or the root of all things. So, okay. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Dassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Okay, so we finished last week with verse number 16 of the Mulapariyaya Sutta, the root of all things. The first sutta of the Majjima Nikaya, bit of a baptism of fire for those who are new to the suttas, because it contains a summary of nearly all of the Buddha's teachings, and it requires quite a lot of knowledge from outside the sutta itself in order to understand it properly. But we are going to go through it, and it will help us in our journey. And the last couple of days we were concerned with these meditative attainments called jhanas or dhyanas, that one may come across in our meditative journey. It is something that is quite a good thing, because they are very powerful states of consciousness, states of being, that can really cause a very subtle and receptive and perceptive mind that can understand the Dhamma really well, that can help us all gain freedom from suffering. However, here the Lord Buddha is describing the dangers in identifying with these states as well, in clinging to them, in conceiving oneself in them. So basically, that if you come across these jhanas, to not identify with them, to not cling to them, not to basically get wrapped up in them. So treat them like a child would their toys. Because when you were a kid, you don't carry around the toys that you played with when you were a kid. You enjoyed them when you were a kid, you played with them, but you left them behind, and you went on with your journey of life, and here you are now. Been lucky enough to listen to the Dhamma, and so when you come across these attainments, treat them like a tool to be used, but not one to be clung to. The same way you let go of your doll or your toy car, you need to let go of these jhanas, which are states of incredible bliss and happiness, and probably the most revolutionary thing you've ever had in your life. So anyway, on to verse number 17. He perceives the base of nothingness as the base of nothingness. Having perceived the base of nothingness as the base of nothingness, he conceives himself as the base of nothingness. He conceives himself in the base of nothingness. He conceives himself apart from the base of nothingness. He conceives the base of nothingness to be mine. He delights in the base of nothingness. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. So this is the base of nothingness, which is the third Arupa jhana. I forgot the Pali name for it. But Arupa jhana means immaterial. So at this point, there is no perception of matter. There is no perception of body. It's purely nothingness is the sunyata. It's just basically emptiness, nothing. Not sunyata though. But anyway, the second. Now we go on to the fourth arupa jhana, immaterial jhana. He perceives the base of neither perception nor non-perception as the basis of neither perception nor non-perception. Having perceived the base of neither perception nor non-perception as the base of neither perception nor non-perception, he conceives himself as the base of neither perception nor non-perception. He conceives himself in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. He conceives himself apart from the base of neither perception nor non-perception. He conceives the base of neither perception nor non-perception to be mind. He delights in the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. You probably lost me there. The base of neither perception nor non-perception. Neva sanya na sanya ayatana. This is the highest immaterial jhana, and you can't really use. You can't really imagine what this would be like, because it is totally outside the frame of reference of one who has not attained to this level, because perception is really we can't imagine a world outside perception, can we? I mean, you need to be a meditator in order to even see the impermanence of perception, and need to look very, very carefully, and neither perception nor non-perception. So that is, that's it's better not to tease it out by trying to look at the words and try to understand them, but rather to stick to the training method. And you may or may not come across this. It's must be like a coma because anyway, these immaterial jhanas the Lord Buddha went up to before he attained Buddhahood as a bodhisattva under Uddaka Ramaputta and Alara Kalama, and he went up to this level, and he realized that this is not nibbana, because it's a cessation of all feeling, of all perception, but that's not nibbana, because nibbana is not a coma. So if you come across this, then take the Buddha's advice and do not conceive yourself in it. Do not take it as the final goal. Do not take it as nibbana. Do not take it as heaven or whatever it is, and basically turn into a comatose patient. So, on to the 19th verse, and these verses is concerned with senses. And we'll get to the footnote after reading the first line. He perceives the seen as the seen. Having perceived the seen as the seen, he conceives himself as the seen. He conceives himself in the seen. He conceives himself apart from the seen. He conceives the seen to be mind. He delights in the seen. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. So to read the footnote, in these four sections, the phenomena compromising personal identity are considered as objects of perception, classified into four categories of the seen, heard, sense, cognized. Here, sense, mutta, signifies the data of smell, taste, touch. Cognized, vinyata, the data of introspection, abstract thought, and imagination. The objects of perception are conceived when they are cognized in terms of mind, I, and self, or in ways that generate craving, conceit, and views. This is quite an interesting fact, because the following four verses are concerned with the sense data and how when one perceives them, one conceives oneself in them as mine, I, and self, you come towards a wrong conclusion, towards a delusion, Because if you think about it, everything we see, we conceive in it. It's sort of like right now, if you're looking at the screen, it's like I am looking at the screen. It's almost as if I'm not looking at it, it doesn't exist or something like that, which is not true, because what exists exists. And we try to always understand the world through our interaction with it. And we try to use this sense data in order to construct an identity, in order to construct this narrative, a story. And this narrative is called the self. But simply put, all it is a narrative, because it's just sense data. It's just basically like a satellite dish on four satellite dishes getting signals, and showing a nice little telegram on the screen, and that's basically what our existence is. We create this simulation based on sense data, and this hallucination, uh, we are a protagonist in this hallucination. So this protagonist has enemies to hate, has friends to love, which is pretty great. But the enemies to hate part is pretty horrible. Um, this protagonist is always a hero, can never do bad, can always do good. No matter what bad things that we do, this hero justifies it, because it is the hero, it is the protagonist, because we make this simulation based on our sense data. And this is what is being described in these verses. This is quite a deep point, and honestly quite hard to stomach um, for some people, but this is reality. If you look at modern neuroscience, I mean, our senses, there are different parts of the brain. There is a part for an eye, there is a part for smelling, there is a part for abstract thought, and so on. But none of them are connected to a central authority. There is no CEO in the brain. It's just a bunch of people shouting, basically. There is no executive, there is no driver. They all just and this driver is created through this narrative that we built up all our lives, all our samsara. It's a very deep point of the doctrine, and I don't think we have enough time to get into it. So I'll keep on reading the sutta. He perceives the herd as the herd. Having perceived the herd as the herd, he conceives himself as the herd. He conceives himself in the herd. He conceives himself apart from the herd. He conceives the herd to be mine. He delights in the herd. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. So this is concerned with our ears, I guess, with our capacity to hear things. It reminds me of the sutta of Dharuchirya. I don't know if you know him. He was the quickest disciple to gain enlightenment. All he had to hear was Sutte Sutamattam Bhavisati. It's like, if you hear, just hear. So don't conceive yourself in the herd. Hearing is just a bunch of signals coming in. He perceives the sensed as the sensed. Having perceived the sensed as the sensed, he conceives himself as the sensed. He conceives himself in the sensed. He conceives himself apart from the sensed. He conceives the sense to be mine. He delights in the sensed. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. He perceives the cognized as the cognized. Having perceived the cognized as the cognized, he conceives himself as the cognized. He conceives himself in the cognized, conceives himself apart from the cognized. He conceives the cognized to be mine. He delights in the cognized. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. This is the most interesting part, cognized. And this is vinyata. So this is basically one of the senses, is our It's called the mind organ. No, so it's just another sense organ. It's our capacity to for introspection, the data of introspection, of abstract thought and imagination, and we we do cling to these forms that are created by the cognized. It's one of the salayatanas. So basically, just think about daydreaming. So you would daydream, you would imagine yourself in a fantastical situation with this and that, and this is just one of your senses, and really, it's not really different from what people call real life either. Always, it's just a story that we tell ourselves. Um, and then on to verse number 23. This is a very interesting verse. He perceives unity as unity. Having perceived unity as unity, he conceives himself as unity. He conceives himself in unity. He conceives himself apart from unity. He conceives unity to be mind. He delights in unity. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. So this is what is unity is described here. The phenomena comprising personal identity are treated as twofold, by way of unity and diversity. The emphasis on unity, ekatta, informs us is characteristic of one who attains the jhanas, in which the mind occurs in a single mode on a single object. The emphasis on diversity, nanatta, prevails in the case of a non-attainer who lacks the overwhelming unity experience of jhanas. Conceiving, stressing diversity come to expression in philosophies of pluralism, those stressing unity in the philosophies of the monistic type. Okay, this is quite a technical term, unity. So basically, the Mahatmakata interprets this as a wrong perception one gets when you attain a jhana. So that is when your mind is so straight on the object, it doesn't run about, it's just fixed on the object, and there is a sense that everything is one thing, because all you see is one, so you believe all to be just one. And Bikkhu Bodhi, Venerable Bikkhu Bodhi, is saying that this sort of, when you conceive in this unity, it leads to a monistic type of philosophy. And monistic philosophies, is one where you believe that everything is just this one united thing. So the best example of a monistic philosophy would be Hinduism, would be Advaita Vedanta. Advaita means Dvaitya is two. So Advaita means not two, one. So Advaita Vedanta believes that there is a unity, and this unity is Brahma, which is the primal energy, and everything else is a part of this unity, including you and me. And this unity is God. And there's some painting where there is a picture of an ascetic, a deer and a hunter, and in the ascetic's heart there's a picture of Vishnu, and in the deer's heart a picture of Vishnu, and in the hunter. So it's saying that all these are just part of this one force, one Vishnu, one God. And this is a monistic philosophy. And all this division comes through basically our defilements. It's quite an interesting philosophy, but they identify the ultimate self in this unity, in this God, that is the self, and you need to return to it. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita as well. And basically, or moksha or liberation is when you become one with the whole, with the unity. It sounds very nice, but unfortunately, it is a fantasy. Um, and this comes about because, as Buddha mentions, because of a of a perversion of perception during meditation. When one attains the jhanas, One doesn't see around, doesn't see everything that's happening, only the one thing. And if you don't use that oneness of the mind, if you don't use that mind into vipassana to see the anatta, anicca, dukkha, if you don't look at the impermanence, the unsatisfactoriness, and the non-self in these things, you come into the wrong conclusion, the delusion that that this is permanent, this is the self, and it is true happiness. And that's when you come across these monistic philosophies, which is plaguing Buddhism as well, because it's quite intoxicating, unfortunately quite unrealistic. And this monistic philosophy of Advaita Vedanta was a big reason why Buddhism declined in India. These philosophers and meditators who it was so close to Buddhism because they borrowed it, and they came across this unity, and they thought that this is Brahma, this is Vishnu, this is the one God. But the Lord Buddha, 500 years before that, refuted it. And so when you all come across such feelings of unity and you try to identify with it, remember this passage. If you think that all things are one, like, it's really strange because you feel like the touching sensations is one. It's the same as what you feel in the cold, and all these sense data just turns into one thing. No, just don't identify with it. So this danger comes when you conceive the unity to be mine. So whatever you come across in meditation, think of it as not mine, not my soul. There is no me in this. So on to the next verse. He perceives diversity as diversity. Having perceived diversity as diversity, he conceives himself as diversity. He conceives himself in diversity. He conceives himself apart from diversity. He conceives diversity to be mine. He delights in diversity. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. So here is concerned with what is described as diversity, and that Bikkhu Bodhi is saying is a sort of pluralism. And for those who don't know, pluralism is a philosophy whereby it is believed that God is in everything. Um, so I am God. This cup, there is God in that. There is a God in this laptop. God is everything. So it's sort of a subtle difference between monism, because it sounds similar to monism, but it's not. It's sort of believing that everything is God, and this is something that happens in diversity. So you sort of identify with everything, like I described before. If you see something and you see yourself in it, this can happen as is described in the Atthakatha for one who hasn't attained the jhanas, and instead the oneness of the mind is not there, so it is everywhere. So you see, you feel everything, you see everything, you hear everything, and you identify with all of them, and you see yourself in each one of them. This is another perversion of perception, so don't see yourself in them either. And going on to the next one, he perceives all as all. Having perceived all as all, he conceives himself as all. He conceives himself in all. He conceives himself apart from all. He conceives all to be mine. He delights in all. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. Quite confusing. In this section, all phenomena of personal identity are collected together and shown as single form. This idea of totality can form the basis of philosophies of pantheistic or monistic type, depending on the relation posited between self and the all. So these two sections are concerned with two other philosophies of pantheistic. So, what is pantheistic? Um, it is another a religious belief. It's basically like it's gonna sound similar to pluralism for you. It's basically saying everything is God, unlike everything. God is in everything, which is pluralism. Pantheism is everything is God. Um, I honestly don't know much about it, but it's like those thinking of nature as a god kind of thing would be similar to that. And monism, I think I've explained already. So perceiving all as all. So relation posited between the self and the all. So the relation that you make between the self and all will lead you to delusion. This is a very difficult verse to understand. It's something that I'm going to leave unexplained because I haven't understood it myself. I just know the terms, but I really haven't gone to the depths because I'm a beginner on this journey, and I'm discovering things as I'm going along, and enjoying it quite a lot. And I hope you all are as well. So the next verse, he perceives Nibbana as Nibbana. Having perceived Nibbana as Nibbana, he conceives himself as Nibbana. He conceives himself in Nibbana. He conceives himself apart from Nibbana. He conceives Nibbana to be mind. He delights in Nibbana. Why is that? Because he has not fully understood it, I say. That's a bit of a curveball right there. Perceiving Nibbana as Nibbana. Bit of a curveball there for any Buddhist trying to see. Okay, MA understands Nibbana. The commentaries understand Nibbana here to refer to the five kinds of supreme Nibbana here and now, included among the 62 wrong weaves the Brahmajala Sutta, that is, Nibbana identified with full enjoyment of sense pleasures, or with the four jhanas. Enjoying this state or yearning for it, he conceives it with craving, priding himself on attaining it. He conceives it with conceit, holding this imaginary Nibbana to be permanent. He conceives it with views. So this is quite interesting. So this is not referring to the nibbana of the noble eightfold path, but rather nibbana is a term we need to understand. It is not only used for the Buddhist concept of deliverance of freedom. It just means freedom, and how different sects perceive freedom was different. And the Brahmajala Sutta that this comment is referring to is the first sutta of the Digha Nikaya, where there are 62 wrong views described. And out of these 62, I think 43 happen to those who meditate. So it's quite a, you can understand that it's quite a subtle difference between everything. And this is basically trying to stop and taking something false as nibbana. So the full enjoyment of sense pleasures, taking that as nibbana, or delighting in the four jhanas and taking the pleasure of the jhanas as nibbana. So it's showing that this, when you will take this as you will take this imaginary nibbana as to be permanent, and this is not the real thing. And basically you're looking at it through weaves, we're looking at it through our own likes and dislikes and so on, through our own conditioning, while the real nibbana is unconditioned. So this is something that can fool us. Basically you'd start thinking, I'm enlightened, I've attained nibbana now. As soon as you say I am enlightened, it is quite obvious you're not enlightened. So I'm coming to an end now. Bit of a meandering discourse today, because this is quite a difficult sutta to get through. But there is a lot to learn from it. And even if you find yourself confused, it's okay. You will understand soon enough. If you stick to the training methods of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, these things, they become clearer as you go along, as we develop in our path. And it's a very, very beautiful and interesting path to walk. One that will make you kinder and better, one that would make you uh, a more pleasant person all around, both for yourself and for others. So these points of deep philosophical doctrine are really the core of Buddhism, because this is a very complex and deep philosophy. However, what is most important to all of us is a very practical aspect of it, the down to earth aspects of the Buddha Dhamma. Because the Lord Buddha taught this Dhamma for all of us human beings so that we may release ourselves from suffering. So when you are hearing these things, don't feel lost. They're meant to help you. So make some positive changes in your life. And I hope you enjoy your journey in the Dhamma as much as the Lord Buddha intended us all to do, to be better, kinder people, and to be free of suffering. So, with that, I will leave you and see you again next Sunday. Thank you very much, Sadhu.